Hi guys, welcome back to another GGA video review. Today we'll be checking out this brand new Asus 4K screen. It's the PQ321Q monitor. It's got a resolution of 3840 by 2160, so it's got a super high resolution. Some of the standout features, it's actually 31.5 inch, but most people call it 32. It uses the LED backlight IGZO display. It's one of the clearest screens around that you'll see in a 4K. Now for the outputs, it's got DisplayPort, and there's another model that has dual HDMI. This is the DisplayPort only model. With the HDMI ports, bear in mind you need to use both of them to go to your computer to run this screen, whereas DisplayPort you just need to run the one cable, because DisplayPort has the multi-stream capabilities in it, because this panel actually has two 1080p screens rotated, so it's split half and half. When you use the DisplayPort, when you're in Windows, it automatically detects it and it will run it as the full screen, whereas the HDMI you need the two cables, because HDMI can only do the one screen at a time. And then bear in mind, once you're in Windows and once the screen's detected both of them, you cannot tell the difference. It looks like one full screen. You can't see any lines down the middle. It's absolutely perfect. The only thing is that once you're in the BIOS, you only get half the screen working, because you won't be able to get multi-stream working for the DisplayPort when you're in the BIOS. It only works in Windows, but that's not too bad, because you're probably not going to be using this much in the BIOS anyway. Other features is it's got 2-watt speakers. You can use this via the audio in, or you can use it through the DisplayPort, which supports your audio as well. And it's actually one of the thinnest bezels around for a 4K. If you have a look at that, it is ultra thin, especially for a 32-inch. And I'll show you the back a little bit later on, but it looks like it could be wall mounted quite easily. It's got a nice bracket on there as well. And just one more thing to cover on the screen. This screen is actually equivalent to running 4 1080p panels. So if you can imagine, one would fit in here, one would fit in here, and then one on each of the top and the bottom on that side. So that's how dense this resolution is. And just one more thing, it also has a pixels per inch of 140, which is pretty crazy. So I'll go through this review. I'll compare it to I got an Asus 144Hz screen, that's a 27-inch. I'll compare it to that one. I'll fire out some games, and before that I'll just go over the back, the sides, show you the controls and things like that, because I've tried a few games on this and it's actually pretty beefy to try and run games that are at full settings because of this resolution. But I won't spend any more time, we'll just jump in and have a look. Alright, so covering the back of the screen, we have this really sturdy plate that the actual stand gets secured onto. So this plate comes fixed on the panel, then you just put 4 screws onto the stand, and then you have this really nice sturdy stand. The monitor can actually go up and down like that. It just uses a little bit of force. It's actually quite stiff, but you can actually control it up and down. It's also got tilt. It doesn't rotate though, you probably don't need it to rotate. And then down below it can swivel on this stand. It doesn't swivel quite 90, but it's probably 45, which is more than enough you would need. Alright, so we'll just have a look at the inputs that are on the sides. So on the right side, looking at it from the back, I'll just spin that around a bit. So on the right side we have a control, so this is for an external control device. We have the DisplayPort on the side here. This up above here would be where your 2 HDMI ports would be on the HDMI model. You've got audio in on the side, audio out. These are look like 3.5mm jacks, and then you've got a USB port for firmware flashing and things like that, which is really handy to have that on there. And now on the other side, on the left side, we have the controls for controlling the screen on the side here. So we see you've got a power. We have a up and down arrow for navigating in the menu. You got your volume up and down, and you got your menu enter, and you have the return button. And then just down below is where you have your power. It might be hard to see, but there's a power switch underneath here, and then you've just got your DC power pack input. It actually uses a DC power pack style, like a laptop. It doesn't actually use a standard IEC cable straight into the monitor, so that's not a huge concern. Some people prefer them. and this monitor uses about 88 watts, it says on the side there, so it doesn't really consume that much going by the size of it. I think most standard LED backlight smaller 24-inch screens that aren't 4K use roughly around 30 watts or so, so it's not too much higher considering the size and what this screen can do. So we've got our PC on the side here. I won't cover the front just yet. We'll do that once we fire up Windows and fire up some games. But I've got a PC over here that hopefully should be able to drive some of the games. It's got two Asus GTX 780s, DC2 editions, and I think it's got 16 gigs of RAM. So we'll fire that up, fire up some games. I'll show what it's like in Windows and how this screen sort of works with the dual screen side by side. Okay, so we got the 4K screen on the right, and we have an Asus 144Hz 1080p monitor on the left. Just one thing to note, using DisplayPort version 1.2 with this screen to get 4K, it will support 60 Hz, whereas HDMI, if you do get the option to use 2 HDMI on the 4K screen, you will only get 30 Hz. So that's a huge advantage using the DisplayPort, getting the 60 Hz, and then that just makes it the standard as most LCD monitors out there. And also bear in mind that it is 8 milliseconds gray to gray, so that's not really too bad either for such a large screen. I'll just go and restart this and just show you what I mean by when you're in the BIOS, how you only get half the screen. It's not really a huge issue. So if I just go on the BIOS, so you can see straight away that the boot logo is half on the screen. So that's it in the BIOS now. I've actually turned the brightness down for the camera, but if you actually have a look, you can see it's purely on half the screen, just because of the way the screen is set up, and that the DisplayPort technology will only work in Windows. So I'll just quit out of that. I'll just show you some comparisons with the left screen and the right screen on different sizes for fonts and things. I won't fire up any games on the left hand screen, there's really no point. It's just mainly the 4K. Right, so what I'll do is I'll do a simple Google image search. Alright, so that's just a simple Asus ROG search there. So you can see all the images there. And then on that screen. So that's purely just a different size right there between 1080p and the 4K on the right side. So you can see it's probably like, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on here, I'm not really going to count that, but it's probably like, it's over 10 or so, so it's probably like 14 or so, so it's actually quite 7 as to 14, so it's, yeah, it's pretty much double along that way. And you also have to factor in the DPI as well and the size of the screen. So the screen on the left is 27 inch and our 4K one is 31.5 or the 32. Alright, so with that being done, I'll just fire up Windows Explorer and we can just have a look at, I might leave that there, have a look at the different sizes. Alright, so that's them up there. I will zoom in because you won't be able to see that. So that's the size of the 4K and that's the size of the 1080p. So quite a fair bit different. I might actually zoom in a bit more. You're going to get some flicker. And just look at the size of the My Documents and My Computer, and then we'll go over to this one. It's just so much smaller. Alright, so I won't focus anymore on the left screen anymore. I'll fire up some games on the right screen just to show you how they run, and we'll focus more on the screen itself. Alright, I've got a Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 running on the system now. You can see the frames, everything is max, and it's running at 41 frames. It averages around there. It goes a little bit higher, a little bit lower. This is a pretty hefty game to run, especially at this res. It does look really good. The system is a 2600K running at about 4 gig with the two Asus 780 DC2, so it is a pretty powerful system. But you can see even with this game isn't the most powerful game. It's still running just at 40 frames, so I'm not even hitting 60. So just bear in mind that if you are looking at getting a screen like this, you will need to be able to comfortably run 4 1080p screens, because that's how many will fit into this one system like this. So you can see a slight little bit lag. I'll fire up Battlefield 4 next, but I have never seen a screen that sort of looks this good before. So if I just rotate this on the side for the viewing angle, so it just really does not change. It just looks like a still picture. Really good. Go down like that. So we'll just zoom in and we'll see if we can so you just don't see any sort of pixels, nothing at all. It's just so clear. I'm not really sure how well it's picking it up on the monitor, but on the camera, but on the monitor it just looks superb. And the coating, it's not like a real gloss finish. It's not like a real matte finish. It seems to be like Asus use on some of their gaming screens. It's sort of an in-between finish, so you're not going to get a heap of glare, or you don't really get any glare at all, but it's not a real true matte finish as well. But it seems to be running fine. I've been playing this on a variety of games with this screen, and the 8 milliseconds I haven't really noticed. It's just that most games at the moment, they just seem to lag a little bit because I just don't have a system powerful enough to be able to handle it. I'll just fire up Battlefield 4 and we'll see how that looks. Alright, so we got Battlefield 4 up and running now, just single player. It's running about 41 frames per second at the moment, and this is with everything maxed out. If we just go up here and have a look. So about around 42 frames. It is changing a little bit. But it's going to be hard to get a sort of a beefier system than this, because I have tried these two 780s with a 3960X running at 4.5 gig, and it really did not make too much of a difference. So it's not really, a CPU is not going to really change it. You're going to need to have quite a few high-end cards in SLI to try and be able to run some games at full res, and at the moment, see, 35, it's not too bad, but I guess if you even if you're playing competitively, you're really going to want the highest frames you can get, and you're not going to beat 120 hertz screen running at 120 frames per second. It's just going to be so much smoother. But mind you, this does look really amazing, but for competitive players, I'll probably want the edge with the fastest speed. What I'll do is we'll just have a look at the on-screen display menu that you get, and we'll just have a look what's in there. But just first off, I'll just show you into I have put the brightness back up, so it's going to be hard to see, but you can really see how bright the screen is, and the overall whiteness of the screen is just perfect. I've never seen a screen just so white before with the colors. Alright, so we're back on the desktop. We'll just go through the menu. Alright, so that's the menu there. It's not the most fanciest menu option I've seen on the screen, but it sort of has all the features you need. So the power button's right at the top. The only confusing thing is not to hit the power button while you're going through the menu, because they're really close together. So then you hit the menu option again. You can go through all your brightness and all that. and you got advanced, so the menu button is the same as the enter button, and then you've got a return button. Return again. Then we can go down to setup. In there we got language, audio select, audio input. It's got some good things here. You can change the level, the baud rate, which is good, and then your display port stream. Sorry, if I hit enter on that, we can change it to let's have a look. MST, or so we can do multi-stream or single stream. So at the moment it's multi. That's why we've got the two streams going into one, and we get the full size image. Going down a bit more, we've got the monitor options, so we can change it to landscape, and another option, so off if no operation. Oh yeah, so it'll just turn itself off after a little while. That's kind of handy. And then if we scroll down one more, we've got others, screen motion, we got a pattern, so that's pretty cool. And then if we go back, where are we? Back one here, and again, we go in again, sorry. So we just got size in there. We got the different wide and different aspect ratios, mute audio, and then your information in there. So we got display port in there. So if we just go back, alright, well that's pretty much it for this review. Just wanted to cover the screen. Not many people have seen these in action. We will have the screen at the next GGF on the 15th of February. We'll have this on our Monster gaming system, which is sponsored by Cool Master, Asus, Republic of Gamers, and Kingston. We'll have some games on there, but best way to check out the screen is in person. It's hard to have a look at it going through the video camera, but sort of my outcome of this, if you're sort of hardcore into gaming, definitely sort of probably stick to your 27-inch Asus gaming screens. They're more designed for it. You'll get 120 Hertz, you'll get 2 millisecond response time, but if you're into more business or even graphics design, this is the screen for you. Like, this just looks amazing. Editing video in Photoshop, it truly does look well. But in gaming, yeah, it's just going to be hard at this stage to be able to get the frames up to like even 60 these days is classed as low, and I could barely get half of that. Well, I was getting just over half of it in some games. So but yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. I want to thank Asus for sending this screen, and stay tuned for more videos in the future.